How to keep and reward good tenants. Coming up. Hi everyone, this is Ernesto from AttaBoyCowBoy, and on this channel we give you health and wealth tips to help you be more successful. Now, I had one of our viewers ask me a question on how to reward good tenants. The question was, we have a tenant that's not smoking, pays their rent on time, how should we reward them? That's a really good question. And I want to share with you a story about my friend. He's a manager for a huge supermarket, and he's telling me about all these people that are shoplifting and eating food in the market and doing beer runs and all this crazy stuff. And I said, well, what do you do? Like, how do you reward the people that don't do that stuff? He says, well, a lot of this stuff goes down to common decency. It's like, if someone comes in your store, you don't thank them for not shoplifting. We just know we're not supposed to shoplift, right? So it's kind of like that with tenants. But with that in mind, I don't pinpoint all the good things they do, because then they think they're being too good, and sometimes they think like, well, you know, maybe I'm gonna not be so good. So that's not a good thing. Sometimes it rewards them not to be so good. But most people are generally pretty decent, so it is a good idea to give them a few incentives to keep up the good behavior. So I'll give you 5 tips. Tip number 1, especially with good tenants, you try to address their concerns quickly, because some people, remember, we're all different, right? We have a different way of looking at life. Some people are really nervous or they're anxious, and little things can really get on their nerves. And for you as an experienced landlord, you might think, well, that's not a big deal. Why are they making a big deal about it? We had these people in this unit that were managing. They were complaining about 2 of the burners on their stove not lighting up. Now, they could light a match and light them up and they would work. And plus, it still had 3 other burners, because they had 5 burners. They worked just fine. It's only 2 people, so they don't need to use all 5 burners. But, you know, they kept bringing it up, and, you know, I guess it was just one of those things that got on their nerves. So we went ahead and we fixed it. Even though it's not really that big of a deal, it's not something that needs to be fixed, we fixed it because we like those people. They're good tenants, and we just want to give them peace of mind. So the point is, don't always look at things from your perspective, look at them from the perspective of the tenant. If something is a thorn in their side, as little as it might be, and it's someone that you want and you like, just take care of it for them, so that way they can keep being happy, and when they think about their place, they have a clear mind and they'll want to stay. Tip number 2, be cool. You want to be a nice person. Everybody likes nice people, right? You don't want them to see you and like, oh man, here comes a landlord, let me run, let me hide. You want them to see you in a positive light. So be nice to people, be courteous. You know, even when people are not nice to you, don't reciprocate. Never reciprocate in any part of your life negative behavior, no matter who it's from. Just kind of listen and just say, I understand. You know, if it gets too heated, just walk away, but never reciprocate. Like they say, when people are mean to you, treat them with more love, and that helps bring out the best in people. And I find that's really true with tenants. Don't engage in negative behavior. Just be nice. And especially if they're good tenants, look at ways to inconvenience them as little as possible. Like if you have to do repairs, rather than doing it on the weekend or whenever they're home, try to do it when they're not home, so that way they don't have to suffer any of the inconvenience of the noise or having someone in their house, etc. Try to meet them on some of their terms, so that way you can make them happy. Tip number 3, consider offering some of the amenities that people like. For example, we used to stock only white appliances in the units, but a lot of the younger people really like stainless steel. So as we've had to replace appliances, we get stainless steel only now, because that's what they like. I met this woman one time. She was an excellent tenant. She was all excited about this place. She wanted to move in, and then she declined. And I asked her what happened. What happened? You know, why did you cancel? I was shocked, actually. I couldn't believe it. She said, well, the bathroom doesn't have a pedestal sink, and I need to have a pedestal sink instead of a cabinet. And I thought, wow, in my mind, I thought, who cares? You know, that's not even important, but it's important to her. And these are your clients, and these are your customers. So I've kept that in mind over the years. And as I've changed out sinks, I use pedestal sinks, because I've noticed that a lot of people like pedestal sinks. And when we do open houses, we ask them, what are you looking for? What do you like? What do you dislike? Even if they're not gonna rent a place, I mean, their info is invaluable. Like, you can get a notepad and take notes of all the people that come in. they're going to tell you stuff that you never even dreamed of, and you're like, wow, I never thought about that. So they can be really critical because they don't know you, and you're probably never going to see them again, so they don't care. So sometimes they're like brutally honest with you, which is what you need to help improve your property and make it more rentable. Tip number 4, be proactive with lease renewals. Now, a few months before your lease is going to be up, contact the tenant. Say, hey man, your lease is going to be up and I'd like to renew it. What kind of, whatever. Just try to work things out with them. Do it before, because a lot of times tenants are already looking for a new place before their lease ends. You might not even know it. You might just be thinking, oh yeah, they'll renew, they're real happy here, they're cool, whatever. Don't assume anything. If you like the people and you want to keep them, contact them before and ask them. And then sometimes you'll be surprised. They'll say, oh, I wasn't thinking about renewing, I'm going to go somewhere else. And you can ask them why. And if it's something minor, maybe you can just do that for them so they could keep them. They might say, well, you know what, the rent's a little high, or this or that, or I don't like getting charged for my parking. We don't normally give rent reductions because in our market we don't have to, because it's Los Angeles and the rents are sky high here, and you can keep increasing them. But there's other ways, like sometimes there's extra parking you don't need. You'll say, you know what, this parking's an extra $200, we'll throw it in for free if you sign for another year. Or they want to re-landscape their front yard and you wanted to do that anyway. Maybe you wanted to put some drought tolerant plants in or something like that. You do that. And a lot of times, keep this in mind, a lot of people are environmentally conscious now, so you can offer things that are win-win, like solar panels, tankless water heaters, insulation. All those things will lower your bills, increase the comfort level of your tenant, and also make a difference for the environment. Solar panels have been incredible. People love solar panels. Wherever we put solar panels, especially a lot of the millennials, they love it. They're like, wow, you got solar panels? You're the kind of person that I want to rent from because you're conscientious, you care about the world. So they like that. So think about those things. Think about the trends and the likes of people and try to address those. Tip number 5, if you've had the tenant for a while and you know they're cool and you like them, when you renew, try to get them to agree to longer terms. Instead of a year, try to get them to 2 or 3 years or something like that. And offer some caveats if you have to, but try to lock them in for a longer period of time. Because even though they may break the lease if they need to, you have something where they have an emotional or a psychological attachment to the place. If they know they have to stay there for 3 years because they signed a lease, they're not going to be thinking about taking a job in another state or doing anything like that. It's going to be like, oh, I'm under lease, I got to stick around here for a while or whatever. And you don't necessarily want to keep anyone from a job or anything like that. And in fact, if someone ever has to break a lease, we're really flexible with them. As long as they help us rent the place, we allow them to break the lease, because you don't want to hold someone over a barrel with a gun to their head. That's not cool. You want to be a nice person, but you also want to protect your interests. And if they're a good tenant, you want to keep them. If they're people that don't complain, if they don't cause you problems, they pay on time, those are the best types of tenants you want. So try to do things to lock them in for a longer period of time. Thank you again for listening, and if you have any questions, please comment below. Thank you.